we always like see on social media like the perfect bodies.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, it's crazy. And the thing is that, especially us women, even though it happens also to guys, we forget that in social media we only see what people want us to see. Because it only takes one meal to get back on track. One workout to get back on track. But for us women, fats are so important because they help with... So we cannot expect to have a diet without healthy fats. Like, we're so harsh on ourselves sometimes.
I think we all do that. Like if we watch Netflix and you grab like chips and you grab like that. Do you have like advice? How can we prevent
Yes.
that?
Consistency will always beat perfection.
Hello everyone and welcome to this third episode of Her Voice, Her Power, where we celebrate women empowerment. I'm Merve, host and founder of this podcast, and today I'm really excited to meet Carolina. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. Excited as well.
Thank you so much for being here and for making time.
Thank you for inviting me and having me.
Of course.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Of course. I'm Carolina. I'm 30 years old. I'm from Colombia originally. I've been living in Belgium almost 8 years. I have a master's in architecture, but I am a strength, food and mindset coach.
Wow. And can you tell me more about that? How did your journey start?
It's actually a very beautiful story in the sense that both fitness and nutrition happened in my life because of my family. I started training 10 years ago because, well, my brother, he's very passionate. One of my brothers, I have 3 brothers, he's very passionate about fitness. And about 11 to 10 years ago, I didn't do anything for my life. After I graduated high school, I was just in architecture school. I used to smoke, I used to drink, eat really bad. I was like 20 years old and I went visiting him. He lives in Germany and he saw me and he was like, if you continue like this, you'll regret it after you're 30. Like, you're not gonna be 20 forever. I couldn't walk for like from where he was living to the city center without like paining my ankle and like getting tired, and I was like nagging the whole time. And he was like, you need to start doing something for yourself if you really want to like live longer, but in a really good way. And he actually bought me 3 months with a personal trainer. And that's how I started. I kind of like got caught up in the fitness journey of like, okay, now I can do this, then maybe let's try to do this a bit heavier. Oh, I start to see changes here and there. I did 1 year of personal training, then I switched to CrossFit. I did CrossFit for 8 years.
Can you also tell us what is CrossFit?
CrossFit is a training modality or a sport. Actually, they're trying to become a sport. It's high intensity training, but it's a very varied way because it combines gymnastics, it combines weightlifting, it combines a bit of like HIIT, so really circuit, cardio. So it's a mixture of everything. It's a well-rounded sport in my opinion. I really loved it. I even competed for it. A bit, but then COVID happened and everyone's life changed a bit, priorities change, and then I kind of like levitated more towards bodybuilding. Then I started training bodybuilding in 2022, I think, at the end. Right now years are a bit mixed. I competed in bodybuilding here in Belgium. I got second.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And right now my training looks a bit of bodybuilding. Right now I'm preparing for a powerlifting meet in November. I'm gonna do a high rocks competition next year. So a little bit of everything.
You're really busy.
I just love sports. I love feeling active. I love moving. I really love to take my body and see where can I go, like what can I do, like just see what's possible. And that's kind of like how I started with fitness. With nutrition, of course, because I had been in that fitness journey for a while, they go hand on hand. Like, you know, one cannot go without the other. I knew a little bit of it, but I was getting like a lot of lies that the media, the society, like everyone, misinformed people tell you. So I was believing a lot of myths. At some point I was under eating. I was always focusing on being the skinniest I could, but then in the gym I wasn't progressing, and like I was like super frustrated. I used to have a big sweet tooth, but that turned out to be just emotional eating, but I didn't know about it. I was just like, yeah, my mom has a sweet tooth, I have a sweet tooth, and that's how my life is gonna be. So I had a lot of binge eating, like yo-yo dieting, all of these issues. I got the help of a food coach, and I managed to like go over those, and kind of like not at the same time, but almost parallel with some months/years difference. My dad had cancer. Luckily he's okay now, he's cancer free, but after his cancer his relationship with food got really messed up, because he had to, through his cancer recovery, he was through a whole hyper restrictive diet, and he developed a lot of anxiety around food. So afterwards, when he was cancer free and he was, let's say, started to like regain his life, he retired from his job, like everything, he was all over the place. Every doctor would tell him something different. Like some doctors were like, don't eat carbs. Some doctors were like, don't eat fat. Some doctors were like, yeah, eggs are bad. Like he was being bombarded by all of these different stories that he didn't know what to believe. And I already knew a little bit, but I didn't feel that I knew enough to be able to actually help him. And because I was doing that work with that food coach, I realized like, okay, I really want to be able to help the people I love the most, and that's my dad. And that's when I decided, I think that was like 2020 or 2021, decided to study to become a food coach. So I did a certification with a Canadian institute. I became a food coach. That was like the main reason, because I wanted to help my parents, which I have been helping them. And in the journey, it turned out that like I discovered my big passion alongside with fitness. So last year I decided to quit architecture and go full-time, both as a fitness and food coach.
Wow. And how is it like so far?
Hard. Yeah. I mean, at the beginning I started alongside my architecture job, so I would work from 9 to 5, but in the mornings I was maybe giving classes at the gym, or in the weekends I was meeting clients. Everything is fully online. Well, I do some in person in some studios here in Ghent, but most of it was online. So it was super busy. Then I realized architecture wasn't what I wanted for the rest of my life. It wasn't making me happy. I personally believe we should be happy. Like there's no reason why not. We shouldn't be happy. That's when I decided to do the switch. But now, of course, I've been facing more challenges that I didn't have before, because I was an employee. Now I'm my own boss. I'm working for myself, but that has also made me face challenges of like, wait, I cannot overwork myself to death. Right now it doesn't feel like I'm overworking because it's for me, but I have to be careful with that. Or I love helping people, that's why I did the change. But sometimes it's like, okay, I cannot get too invested, because I can only help people that want me to help. You know, like I cannot step up and say, no, wait, I think you need to do this, because it's their life. So it's also like it's being challenging in that way, which is nice, because I mean it's from those challenges that you learn. You know, like if you're never presented with any challenge in life, you just stay where you are, and that's not something I like to.
The thing is, you also said to me that in your early years of fitness that you also wanted to learn more about nutrition, but there was not really anything like, if you search on Google, like some say this and others say this, but I believe that a lot of women also who are listening to us struggle with that, like who do they have to believe?
It's
yes,
crazy.
Exactly.
No, it's crazy. And I think even right now, more with like, because now Instagram has become way bigger than it was 8 years ago. TikTok is now like a big thing where you get like, oh, like there's one influencer saying like, or one doctor on TikTok saying don't eat carbs, don't, like I've even seen this kind of like mock-up videos of like putting all of these videos of don't eat or don't eat this, don't eat that, and then at the end you're like, okay, the motherfucker should I eat? It's crazy, and I can share so much the pain and the struggles from everyone. But what I can tell you is that there is no one single best diet. Like, because what works for you doesn't necessarily work the best for me. Some people say, yeah, keto is the thing, or veganism is the thing, or carnivore is the thing. Like, they just each have principles that are through all of them. That's what people should focus on. So, for example, eat a majority of whole, less processed foods. Like, don't go for that all your diet is just like highly processed foods. Like, focus on fruits, veggies, grains, protein especially. Another thing that they have in common is movement. I mean, some type of movement in your life, because that's what you need for longevity. The most important is that it's something that you can sustain. For example, I don't think I could become vegan. I don't have anything about veganism. I have some clients that are vegan, but I don't think it would be sustainable for me. So there is no point in me trying to become vegan if I'm going to make my life miserable and I won't be able to sustain. Maybe some days I will be vegan, but some days I won't. Like, you need consistency. You need something that is sustainable for you. So that's kind of like, it's not about believing X or Y theory. It's more about, okay, what works for me and what am I doing from those principles? What do I need to improve from those principles? And how can I make my own version of it?
Yes, because that's really so beautiful. Like, everyone is unique and needs also like a unique program for her or for him. But the thing is, we always like see on social media like the perfect bodies.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, it's crazy. And the thing is that, especially us women, even though it happens also to guys, we forget that in social media we only see what people want us to see. It's the same for us. I mean, one has to be very, very secure with yourself, or very willing to be vulnerable to go post everything. But I can bet you that even in your listeners, their social media is just what they want people to see. And if that's with us, what makes us think that those perfect lives, perfect bodies are like that? We're just seeing what they want us to see. Who tells you that that picture is not Photoshop? Who tells you that that influencer is not selling that training program, not because the training program made her look like that, but because she looks like that she sells you the training program? Like, there's all of these things that we just like swallow without wait, like questioning everything. Just start by ourselves. Am I showing everyone everything on social media? Well, of course not. Then why would they? Why would they? Exactly.
But the thing is also, like, everyone shares their
highlights.
Their happy highlights.
Exactly
that.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is also, like, there's also like a kind of insecurities, like she has this and I have not that. But the thing is, you also mentioned that so perfectly, like, we are unique and you also have to believe in yourself, like, to go what you really want. And also, everything starts with, I think, the right mindset.
Yes.
Also for fitness and for eating healthy, everything starts with the right mindset and to love yourself.
Yes.
I think that is the first step if you really want like a healthy, balanced lifestyle, that you first love yourself.
Yes. So one thing I always tell to people, for example, in my food coaching, the 3 pillars of your relationship with food, in this case, is the habitual, so your habits, the emotional, so how much you attach emotions to food, in this case, and psychological, so your mindset. How is your mindset? And that's something, whether it's for food or training, I work so much with my clients. That's why I also say I'm a mindset coach, because you cannot expect a change in what you're doing if you don't change what's here.
Exactly.
If you've been always thinking or doing things the same way, well, you're gonna get the same results. So if you're always seeing things either black or white, which I call the all or nothing mindset, well, unless you really stop and try to see that there is million shades of gray in between the black and white, and then maybe what would happen if you would start focusing on all of them instead of seeing things either one or two, what's gonna happen. Like you cannot get a real change in anything if it doesn't start from here, because you're always gonna go back to those things that were holding you back to not be able to do that change that you want.
Exactly. You were also talking like binge watch eating?
Binge eating.
Binge eating.
Yes.
Oh, okay. The thing is, like, I think we all do that. Like, if we watch Netflix and you grab like chips and you grab like that, do you have like advice? How can we prevent
Yes.
that?
So binge eating is a way of coping with emotions, feelings, situations that you don't want to through food. The same way as people cope with alcohol, with drugs, with sex. It's just a coping mechanism that some people have developed through their life. Like I was one of those. For example, just to give you the perfect example, when I first heard that my dad had cancer, I had a very bad binge eating episode. So I went to the Carrefour and I bought pretty much everything I could from the sweets aisle, like brownies, cookies, chocolate, like everything. Because in a way, that's how I was dealing with the news I didn't want, with the reality I didn't want to face. That's binge eating. There is another thing that is mindlessly eating and overeating. That's, for example, when you come home from a hard day at work and you just take the bag of chips, the box of cookies, put on Netflix, and that's kind of like your dinner, and you don't even know when was that you finished the bag. That's kind of like more like mindlessly eating, and that happens because we are kind of like in an autopilot mode. We're not conscious about what we're eating. And the sad thing about both of them actually is that they're very normalized in life. I used to have also friends that binge eating was a thing for them, but it's also a very sensitive thing to talk about. For example, my partner, neither her partner, used to binge it, so you feel ashamed. Like you really feel ashamed when that happens, because in a way, part of you knows, especially with food, that you shouldn't be doing that. Like you shouldn't eat your cold pantry. But yeah, it's something that in this case, it has to do with like going a little bit deeper and understanding why is it that that's happening? Why is it that this is my coping mechanism? What can I do to change it? Because it's something way more ingrained, and that's why when I talk about like the pillars of your relationship with food, emotions and mindset, like psychology, also have to do a lot with this. Like a lot of people think that eating healthy is just saying, okay, I'm just gonna eat healthy from Monday on, so I'm gonna go buy a lot of veggies and like nuts and like avocado and this and that, and that's it. But it's way more about that, because if your relationship with food is not where it needs to be, when times get rough, you're gonna go back to those old habits, to those old patterns, to those old responses from your body. And that's why we need to work in like those really deep things that most of the times we don't want to, because it's so confronting and it can be really hard. But if we really want real change, and if we really want to stop being slaves of food, if we really want food being this thing controlling our mood, our mind, our lives, we need to do that hard work in order to like overcome those things.
But the thing is also like, in this lifetime, it is so normalized that doing a diet, like eating healthy, is going on a diet. But it's not like that.
No.
Like eating healthy must be the standard, actually.
Yes, that's true. Right now it's normalized, all of the things that shouldn't be normalized. So I mean, the amount of times that people think I'm weird because I go to the gym 4 times a week. Because I eat the way I eat. Like when I was in the office, people would see my lunch and they would be like, "Oh, are you on a diet?" And I'm like, no, this is just how I eat. Yes. I am very conscious. I am an adult, and I need more than 2 sandwiches to be food. So this is just how I eat. Yeah, I mean the comments when you get when like, "Hey, you go 4 times a week to the gym. Wow. Like, how do you find time or what?" And I'm like, how many hours are you watching Netflix at home? What's your screen time? I mean, the things that are normalized are for sure not the ones that should be, because being healthy working for yourself, like doing that self-work, is the weird. You're the odd one when people see you're doing that.
Yes.
And that can be so challenging, because when you choose that path, you can feel so lonely sometimes, and you start questioning, like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I not just like everyone else? Like, why can't I be happy with that? Like is it correct that I'm doing this for myself? That's something that sometimes, like, after 10 years I don't get that anymore, but sometimes I would get it, that like I wanted to go to the gym on Saturday morning, and my friends were like, let's go party Friday night. I'm like, no, but but come on, just skip it this once, like it's gonna be fine, stop being so like obsessive, like all of these things. Or like, I don't know, like if I go on holidays, yeah, I also like to move. I mean, okay, sure, if it's a holiday where I'm walking the whole time, yeah, that's no problem. But my body is already missing movement. So for example, when people see that we're on holidays and me and my boyfriend go to the gym, they're like, oh, you cannot rest, you're on holidays, like for God's sake. It's like, yeah, but I'm sorry, this is just part of my routine, and I don't see it, like I'm not going even because I don't know, I'm gonna lose my gains. No, it's just part of who I am. It's part of my routine. It's something I like to do. I enjoy to do. Like when I haven't trained in so long, like my body is really like asking me for like movement. It's something I enjoy.
Yes.
So it can get lonely sometimes.
And also, the thing is, I will give my example. When I started fitness, actually a couple years ago, the thing was like, I went to the gym and I went to home, I ate like healthy, and then I ate like something sweet, and then I was like, oh no, like my diet is messed up,
It's
and
ruined.
then you just stop.
Yeah, that's the all or nothing mentality or mindset that I see with a lot of people that come to see me. I used to also be the same. Let's say you have this perfect day, go to the gym and then eat healthy, and like, even though, I mean, eating healthy is just a balanced diet, but okay. Let's say you had this one thing that you were not supposed to have, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, it's wrong. Like another one just won't make it. Like, and then it just goes all downhill, because you get trapped in that all or nothing. Like, if it's not perfect, then it's bad. And it doesn't matter how bad it is, because it's already bad. So how much worse can you make it? Well, a lot worse. So I give this kind of like metaphor or comparison to my clients. Let's say you're empty the dishwasher, and a plate slips, a dish slips, and it breaks. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna open your pantry and break the other dishes? No, exactly. What are you gonna do? Well, you're just gonna be a bit more careful for the ones that you have left, so that another one doesn't break. That's exactly what happens when those situations that you're telling me happen. When you're like, I even say that to myself out loud sometimes when I need a reminder, because it's not that I'm perfect either. I mean, I still struggle with the same things. It's just because I've done some years of work, like let's say it's less than before, but I still have it. I mean, I've had those situations for 30 years. So I cannot expect that in just a couple of months or years, everything is solved. But I say that out loud to myself when things get tricky. I'm like, a dish just broke. What am I gonna do? Like, what am I choosing to do? Am I gonna break the rest or not? Because it only takes one meal to get back on track. One workout to get back on track. That's it. And that's what we forget sometimes.
That's actually so beautiful and like so motivating also. Do you have also like some more advices for women when it comes to eating healthy?
I would start by, I'm gonna call it the lowest hanging fruit. A lot of us, women in this case, because we're talking about women, we think that we need to make these big changes, this 180-degree change all overnight. Our life needs to look completely different for us to be healthy, eat healthy, have a healthy lifestyle, but it doesn't. If you just start with the lowest hanging fruit, to give you an example, let's say that for breakfast you have yogurt with granola and that's it. That's it. Let's say you have that. The easiest first change would be, which type of yogurt are you having? Because something we want to have for every meal, it's a protein source. So I would see, okay, let's see that my yogurt has a high amount of protein. So is it gonna be Greek yogurt? Brands that come in my mind like Faye, Oikos 0%, or is it Skyr, or is it Quark? That would be a first change that is super easy to make because you just have to buy a different brand in the supermarket. Your breakfast stays the same, but you're already having a bit of a better option for breakfast. For lunch, what are you having for lunch? I don't know, what are you having for lunch normally?
What I'm having for lunch, actually, I eat something in the morning, like a lot of salads actually, like tomatoes, cucumbers, eggs, because for protein. And also I make juices.
Okay.
Like with green apple, celery, and what else? Lemon juice, and then I make a juice of that. That is actually my morning, what I eat in the morning.
Okay.
And for lunch, I will always do like the protein, and then some vegetables and like carbs. Like I eat a lot of chicken with rice and, for example, broccoli.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, from what I'm hearing from the lunch, the easiest thing that you could add is some healthy fats. So, for example, in that case of your lunch, the one you told me, like rice, broccoli, chicken, what I would add is a healthy fat source. I know a lot of women, we get super scared about the word fat, but we need it. We need it, especially as women. Everyone, because it helps with brain function, but for our case, it works, or it helps for hormone regulation. So we cannot expect to have a diet without healthy fats. So if I was you, just because it's one of my favorite sources, I would add some pesto. It goes well with everything, gives a lot of flavor. Normally fats are the things that are gonna help us give our meals a lot of flavor. So think about cheese, avocado, oils, nuts, seeds, nut butters, coconut. For example, pesto is made out of oil, cheese, and nuts, so that's why it's a healthy fat. But that would be, so let's say we have breakfast, where the easiest thing would be protein source. In the example I gave, we have lunch, that's what I gave. So I would really start seeing, like, I always start from where you are. I don't really believe in meal plans. I don't really believe in like clean slate when it's like, okay, I don't care what your routine is, what your habits are, this is how it needs to look like, because it just doesn't work that way. That's why I say start by where you are and see what's the lowest hanging fruits, what's the easiest change that sometimes it feels so stupid that you think, why is it gonna work to like switch my yogurt and add some pesto to my lunch? Like, it just sounds so simple that we think, yeah, that's not gonna make any difference, and then we just don't do it. Because we think we need to make a bigger change in order to be meaningful, but it just doesn't. Is that addition of like small that gets the big change that we want. We cannot pretend to run before we walk or before we crawl. So by starting with like the smallest possible change, that's gonna be the most sustainable. That's gonna be the easiest, because there's no reason for us to make our lives already harder than they are. But of course, there's always opportunities for those small changes, and that's what we should focus on.
So we always have to begin small,
of course,
and then go to the top.
Yes, unless you are someone, because I've seen people that they say, or I do a big change or I don't. But again, that's the all or nothing mindset. If you want to, go ahead, but just make sure that it will be sustainable, because there's nothing like doing a big change for 3 days, then the other 4 days again like back to old, and then again on one day you start 3 days again, and then back to, then just it's better, like consistency will always beat perfection, and that is what we forget. We think we need to be perfect, we need to have everything figured out and working like a clock, like a sharp clock, in order for it to work, but it actually doesn't. Consistency will always be more important than perfection.
Actually, wow. I really love that quote. Consistency. No, that's actually so true. And can you also tell us more about how we can feel better, like mental health?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Some advices.
That's a really hard one. I think that the easiest one would be to start by how we're talking to ourselves. Like, we're so harsh on ourselves sometimes. Like, once I had to really tell a client, I was like, she had sisters. So I asked her, would you tell your sisters the stuff that you're telling yourself? And she was like, there's no way. There's no way I would tell them that. And I was like, why is it? And she's like, yeah, because I love them. And it's like, exactly. We should be the person that we love the most, because we are the ones responsible of our well-being, of our happiness, of our everything, and we're telling ourselves this horrible stuff. So yeah, I mean, again, it sounds so simple, so stupid, of like just even standing in the mirror or just saying out loud like nice things to ourselves, like, yeah, why is it gonna improve my life? Like, tell me, like, yeah, I'm worthy, like, I got this, like, I'm enough, like, yeah, sure, like, gibberish. No, it's not gibberish. Like, I was mentioning it outside camera to you, but there was this study where they were studying the parts of the brain that highlight when you listen and when you speak. And they're like, okay, what happens when we speak to ourselves? And it was like, actually, the one that highlights is the one of listening. So the brain is not processing that it's you doing the talking. So it really processes like it's someone else, probably someone that you love, telling you all of those horrible things that sometimes we tell to ourselves. Well, then I'm not surprised that a lot of us have like those things so ingrained and we cannot get past to it if we have been telling us those horrible things for 30 years, 20 years, 40 years. Like, of course, imagine your parents would tell you those things for like so many years. Well, it's gonna get a lot of therapy for you to get past that, for sure. And they were like, no, like, I don't know what's wrong. Yeah, well, you're the one who's been telling you those things. You just didn't think it was gonna cause such effect because it's just you telling you, well, yeah, you're the one, like, you're the person who loves you the most. So that would be like probably the biggest thing I would say. Like, it just, how you talk to yourself matters, and it matters a lot.
A lot, because like nutrition and fitness at a side, loving yourself is like the start of everything. Of eating healthy,
Exactly.
Also eating healthy, going, like, doing sport, doing something of movement shows
That you love yourself.
Yes.
That you love yourself enough, and that's why you want to do those things for yourself. One thing with like with the food, I give that reference, and it works really good, for example, with guys. I'm like, imagine your car. Like, guys love their cars normally, right? And I'm like, which type of fuel are you putting to your car? Like, oh yeah, no, like the best fuel ever. And it's like, it's the same with your body, because food is fuel. So which type of fuel are you putting to your body? Are you putting shitty fuel, or are you putting the best fuel you can?
That's really good comparison. I actually know.
It's the same with your, you have a cat. Which type of food do you give to your cat? You love your cat.
Of course.
Exactly. Then why is it that we cannot do that with ourselves?
We sometimes forget, I think,
Yeah.
that we have to love ourselves and that we are worth it.
Exactly.
And that we deserve the best of the best.
Exactly. If we can give it to ourselves, of course. And sometimes it doesn't even have to do with going to the most expensive supermarket and buying the most expensive. No, it doesn't have to do that. It has to do with like how you're seeing food. What are you giving to yourself? Are you giving, like, there's a reason why none of us eats rotten food. Because yeah, it's rotten. I'm not gonna eat rotten food, but it's the same. Are you gonna have chips for dinner, knowing that it's not the most nutritious? I'm not saying don't have any chips for dinner. I mean, if, for example, I let's say I just came back from holiday. Like, specific example, last night I just came back from holiday, 3 weeks. Like, my fridge is not really full at the moment. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna have for dinner? I had to open my freezer and I had like a frozen burrito. And I was like, okay, well, this we do. But I know that this doesn't have enough protein. And I still had some protein drinks in my fridge. I was like, okay, I'll take this. And I'm missing a little bit of like carbohydrates and fats for today. And the past days I haven't eaten enough. So I just took some cereal with my protein drink. So I mean, okay, sure, I didn't have the most veggies in the protein, which I had the rest of the day. It's all about balance. But at that moment, I was like, okay, what is mattering for me the most? Well, have food and have something that is gonna keep me full for a bit. Probably if we would have just been the cereal, it wouldn't have kept me full for a while. But I sought to add, okay, what do I need to like make this balance? So if you come home and let's say the only thing you have for dinner is maybe some, I don't know, some salad with some ham, and you have no carbs and no fats, well sure, grab the chips as carbs and fats. But it's more about not just have the chips. Like see to add, because most of the times it's about adding up rather than taking away. People think it's about taking away the chips, taking away the pizza, taking away the cookies. But if you add to those meals that you're having protein, veggies, healthy fats, then you won't need to have a whole bag of chips to feel satisfied, because you're already going to have some protein, you're already going to have some veggies that are going to help you feel satisfied. So it's about adding up what you need more of.
Okay. I want to thank you for all the information, for all the valuable information, the inspiring information that you share with us. To conclude our episode, I also ask my guests always for their favorite quote, because I'm someone who loves quote, maybe you too, because that really motivates us to go for what we really want and go after our dreams. So I want to ask what your favorite quote is.
It's a hard one. I really had to think.
You have to choose one.
Yeah, I know. I had to think it a lot. But I'm gonna go with, when you focus on the good gets better. So it's really about, it all comes down to perspective. When you focus on the positive, when you focus on what's going great or what's going good, it becomes great. And it works the same with the negative. If you focus on the bad gets worse.
Exactly.
So focus on the good and it will get better.
I always say, like, begin with the positive mindsets and you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Because you also like explain it so great. Like, if you always tell yourself negative things, you will really believe it. But if you tell yourself that you are capable of doing this and you really get there and you will achieve it, then you really believe it and you're halfway there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, belief it's important, even though sometimes believing is very hard when you haven't showed yourself that you can. So in my case, I like to focus, believing is super important, but I also like to focus in that if I do everything I can, if I put the work in, there is no reason why I shouldn't go there. My work and my journey is gonna give me the belief I need. So let's say when I competed for bodybuilding, well, I didn't know if I was gonna be capable of it. Was a really difficult goal, but I knew I was putting in the work. I was doing everything in my power to get there. At the beginning, it was more like a fake belief. Like, I was believing, but not really. It was like fake it till you make it. So it works a bit like that. If I would have started the journey with like, I won't be able to do this. Indeed, it's what you said, that you're not there. But it's like, I will be able to do this, but also with like, because I'm putting in the work. If I'm willing to go through what it takes, there's no reason why you shouldn't, because I firmly believe you can do everything in life as long as you're willing to go through, like to put in the work. You want to run a marathon? Go for it. But know that you're going to have to train for it.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. Like, that's all you need. If you know that you're willing to put in the work, the hours, the time, trust me, you can do anything in life. It's just sometimes we're like, oh yeah, but it's so much work. Yeah, no, I won't be able to, like, then indeed, you need to believe and be willing to put in the work, and then everything will come.
Exactly. Just hard work, believe in yourself, be positive, and you will get there.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're very welcome.
It was so nice to hear all those things from you, and you're really an inspiring woman.
Thank you so much.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure.
You're really great.
It was such a pleasure. I was so excited to get this invitation.
Thank you so much. And for now, we will see each other in the next episode with a lot of other incredible and inspiring women. So see you soon.
Bye-bye.